Karamov GmbH from Hanover has a vision to replace the wooden pallet in as many areas as possible with a pallet made of corrugated board. The preferred areas of application are those with a high pallet consumption, a certain level of automation of interlogistics, and fulfillment of certain requirements for the goods to be loaded. The idea behind this is that the pallet is produced at the location where it is palletized. The pallets are built fully automatically in a machine that we call a palligator. The first section of the palligator takes corrugated cardboard blanks directly from the pallet, forms individual pallet parts from them using a hot melt adhesive, and groups 4 of them into a group. The second section then glues this group of 4 together to form a pallet using wet adhesive tapes. Depending on the configuration, the palligator achieves a throughput of up to 120 pallets per hour. We have extended our pallet by a few types in response to special customer requests. A separate section will make it possible to add a top and/or bottom sheet to the pallet. I will briefly describe the individual pallet types. Type number 1 is the basic type already shown, in which the 4 pallet parts are connected by the wet adhesive tapes. As this type is the most similar to an ordinary pallet, there are no restrictions on the type of forklift used to load the pallet. Type number 2 has a bottom sheet on the pallet, and the lower wet adhesive tapes are not used. The bottom sheet has 4 openings that allow the rollers of the pallet truck to be positioned. The bottom sheet protects against the forces that may act outwards on the outer feet of the pallet. It should be noted that high lift trucks cannot be used with this pallet. High lift trucks are shown below right. Their underforks have permanent contact with the ground. Type number 3 uses a top and bottom sheet to fix the pallet parts without the use of wet adhesive tapes. The bottom sheet also has the 4 openings. The top sheet has no openings. The same restrictions apply when using high lift trucks. Using the top and bottom sheets increases the stiffness of the pallet against bending. The top and bottom sheets of pallet type number 4 have no openings. The rigidity of the pallet against bending is even more robust. This type allows only the use of forklift trucks with forks that do not need to support the front load rollers. I would also like to share with you our findings from communication with potential users of corrugated cardboard pallets. We have been able to gather these insights from the use of our ixs-pal pallets, but the knowledge certainly applies to all paper pallets in general. In particular, I will outline some of the misconceptions that users have about corrugated cardboard pallets. The main misunderstanding is the following idea. I load my product on wooden pallets and switch to corrugated cardboard pallets overnight without preparing myself and my customers organizationally and technically. The critical consideration and adjustments to the processes are based on some special features of corrugated cardboard pallets in general and are absolutely necessary. Water resistance. The water resistance of paper pallets is limited. There are methods to protect corrugated board against water, but as far as I know, this leads to difficulties in recycling and, of course, increases the final price of the pallet. Therefore, pallets made of other materials should be used in areas that come into contact with water. If you notice that corrugated board itself or the product is loaded in corrugated board packaging, it is a good indication that it can be loaded on a pallet made of corrugated board. Load capacity of the pallet. It is often assumed that the corrugated cardboard pallet can only take a small load, but this is precisely the power of the corrugated cardboard, the ability to take large forces with only a small own weight. Thanks to the large number of types of corrugated cardboard available, the load-bearing capacity of the corrugated cardboard pallet can also be adapted to specific requirements. For example, the pallet in this picture is made from BC fluting made from recycled paper with approximately 1,000 grams per square meter. Its load capacity is 850 kilogram. To dispel any doubts, I would like to give the following example. The bottom row of corrugated cardboard packaging stacked on a pallet bears a load of comparable size to the load on the pallet below. Stiffness of the pallet to be stored in high racks. It is possible to construct a pallet made of paper with a stiffness against bending like a wooden pallet. It increases the amount of used materials and the costs associated with them, and would make the use of such corrugated cardboard pallets uneconomical. It seems much more effective to me to find the corresponding bottlenecks in the entire logistics chain and to work around them organizationally or technically. Here I see it as the duty of high bay warehouse manufacturers, in particular, to consider the use of corrugated cardboard pallets in new developments and to offer appropriate retrofit solutions for existing systems. It would also lower the demands on the quality of the wooden pallets used and facilitate the introduction of corrugated cardboard pallets. The users will thank you for it. Stiffness of the pallet and robustness of the pallet edges in relation to strapping. For the reasons already mentioned with regard to stiffness, strapping also requires careful checking. For example, in special cases where the strapping is used to compress the product or the load is considerably smaller than the pallet, a paper pallet should not be used. With regard to the robustness of the edges of the pallets, the set tension force of the straps should also be checked. Stiffness of the pallet in relation to the special aspects of moving the not yet bound load. The loading deck of the ixs-pal pallet has a low bending stiffness, so the pallet can only hold loads which themselves offer sufficient stability. Panels, corrugated cardboard, cartons bound into a unit by film wrapping, strapping, etc. This should be considered when moving the unbound load in-house. For example, when moving the pallet between palletizing and the film wrapper with a forklift truck, pick up the pallet from its short side, or possibly stabilize the load with intermediate layers during palletizing. Let me summarize. The changeover to corrugated cardboard pallets requires organizational and technical adjustments to processes. The special characteristics of pallets in terms of water resistance and stiffness should be taken into account. The load capacity of the pallet is sufficient for most applications. And finally, an appeal. I, and probably most of you, did not experience the mass conversion of outer packaging from wood to corrugated board. But I imagine that production and logistics were faced with the same considerations and misconceptions back then, and there were certainly people who were quite skeptical. But where are we today? Corrugated cardboard has become an integral part of the packaging sector, and wood only plays a subordinate role in this area. This change should give us courage and reassurance in the use of corrugated cardboard pallets. Thank you for your attention.